Alright guys, so we're going to be looking at Unit 2 quiz review. I'm probably want to go to the odds here just because it's kind of the same thing just over and over again. So let's look at number 1. So I'm looking and I notice that the key number is 3. We can always use x to determine our variable. And I'm looking. It looks like I have all the numbers that are smaller than x, or because it's closed, equal to. That's it. Now if you look at the interval notation, it starts at negative infinity and it keeps going till we get to 3. Always a parenthesis around negative infinity, and a bracket around 3 because this is closed. Now if we look at 3, my key number here is 0. Always can use x. And it looks like they picked the numbers that were bigger. So I have to pick the numbers that are bigger. So x is all of these numbers that are bigger. No line underneath because this is open. Interval notation is, where does it start working? Well, 0. When does it stop working? Infinity. Always a parenthesis around your infinity. Since this is open, parenthesis. Now let's graph some of these. Alright, so it says x is bigger, or you could read that as 0 is smaller than x. So my key number here is 0. It is an open circle because no line underneath. Let's see, where do the numbers get bigger? Well, how about this way? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are all numbers I could plug in here for x, and they are all bigger than 0. Interval notation is, where does it start working? 0. Where does it stop working? Positive infinity. Open means parenthesis, and we always have a parenthesis around infinity. Let's see. Negative 2 is smaller than n. So my key number here is negative 2. It's going to be open because there's no line underneath here. Negative 2 is smaller than n. So I want all the numbers that are bigger than negative 2. Interval notation is, when does it start working? When does it stop working? Always a parenthesis. Open means parenthesis. Now let's look at one that's closed. That would be number 2. Right here. 6 with the number 2. Sorry. Okay. So my key number here is 2. Closed because of the line underneath. And it says 2 is greater than or equal to m. So that means m is smaller than 2. Well, all your numbers are smaller this way. Interval notation is, when does it start working? When does it stop working? Always a parenthesis. Closed means bracket. Alright. Let's solve a few of these. So we want to get the variable by itself. Well, to undo subtracting 3, I need to add 3. That'll make this cancel. If you do it on one side, you got to do it on the other. So m is less than or equal to 12. To graph that, we put a 12. Line underneath means closed. It says m is smaller than 12. So I've got to point it where all the numbers get smaller. Interval notation is, when does it start working? Well, it starts working down here at negative infinity. When does it stop working? Here at 12. Parenthesis always around your infinities, and a closed means bracket. Number 11. Add 9. Add 9. Opposite signs, so we subtract. 22 minus 9 is 13, but the 22 is bigger and it was negative. Now let's graph that. Negative 13, open, no line underneath. And it says negative 13 is bigger than b. So I've got to pick all the numbers that are bigger than b. Alright. Now, interval notation. When does it start working? Negative infinity. Always a parenthesis. When does it stop working? Negative 13. Parenthesis because it is open there. Alright. Number 13, we get b by itself. Add 1 to both sides. Opposite signs, so we subtract. 19 minus 1 is 18. The negative was bigger. To graph this, we put negative 18. It is closed because of the line underneath. It says negative 18 is bigger. That means b has to be smaller. Interval notation, when does it start working? Negative infinity. When does it stop working? Negative 18. Closed circle means bracket. All right, here we go. To undo dividing, we multiply, but if you do it on one side, you got to do it on the other. 280 is less than v. To graph it, put 280. Open circle, because no line underneath. 280 is smaller than v, so v has to be bigger. Interval notation, when does it start working? 280. When does it stop working? Infinity. All right, multiply by 2. Multiply by 2. N is greater than 28. Put 28 on here. Open because no line underneath. N is bigger. When does it start working? When does it stop working? All right, number 19. To do this, I need to divide by a negative. But when we divide by a negative, we need to flip our inequality. Negative divided by negative is positive. 120 divided by 12 is 10. Okay. So we divided by a negative. That's why we flipped here. Divided by a negative. 10 is on here. Closed. It says R is bigger. So I need the numbers that are bigger. And your interval notation. When does it start working? 10. When does it stop working? Infinity. Closed means bracket. Always a parenthesis around infinity. All right, solve each inequality. Let's combine these. That gives me negative 3x. All right, so I need to divide both sides by negative 3. But I'm dividing by a negative here, so I've got to flip my inequality. All right, let's graph. 6 is our important number. Closed because of the line underneath. It says negative 6 is smaller than x. So that means x is bigger. So I need the numbers that are bigger. Interval notation. When does it start working? When does it stop working? Always a parenthesis. Bracket because of closed. Ooh, here's a fun one. DC SAD method. So distribute. Negative 6p. Positive 24. Less than or equal to 5p plus 24. So let's see. Let's combine our p's here. Add 6p here, but if you do it on one side, you got to do it on the other. And now I've got 24 is less than or equal to 11p plus 24. Now we need to go ahead and get our constants together. So let's subtract 24, subtract 24. Cancels. 24 minus 24 is 0. Now our last step, we need to divide by 11. How to make these 11s cancel? 0 divided by 11 is 0. Now let's graph that. Important number is 0. Closed because of the line underneath. This says 0 is smaller than p. Or you could also say p is bigger. So I got to use the numbers that are bigger. And now what I want to do is I want to go, where does it start working? Where does it stop working? Closed means bracket. Infinity means parenthesis. All right, DC SAD map this. Well, no distributing, but I can combine. That gives me 7n. Okay, add 7, add 7. And here I need to divide by negative 7. But I hear myself saying divide by negative, so I need to flip. This is 2. So the important number here is 2. Open. And let's see, it says n is bigger. So I need to point to where they are bigger. Interval notation is when does it start working? 2. When does it stop working? Infinity. Always a parenthesis around infinity. open means parenthesis. All right, DC SADMAP. Distribute. 8 times 2n is 16n. 8 times 6 is 48. And now we need to solve. Subtract 48, subtract 48. 16n is less than or equal to 80. Now this is 16 times n, so I need to divide by 16. So I get n is less than or equal to 5. Okay, well, let's graph that. What's the important number? 5. Open or closed? Well, line underneath means closed. Now this says n is smaller than 5, so I need to point to the smallers. Interval notation is when does it start working? Negative infinity. When does it stop working? 5. Always a parenthesis around negative infinity. And a closed circle means bracket. Okay. Last few. Get your variables together. Subtract x, subtract x. That cancels. So I've got negative 7 is less than x plus 1. Minus 1, minus 1. Negative 8 is less than x. To graph that, the important number is negative 8. Open or closed? Open, because no line underneath. Negative 8 is bigger than x. So that means x is smaller. And your notation, when does it start working? Negative infinity. When does it stop working? Negative 8. Always a parenthesis. Open means parenthesis. All right. Fun one. Big numbers. Negative 30x, positive 6 is less than negative 42x, negative 42. Get your variables together. So that's 12x plus 6. Now I know I'm doing some of the numbers quickly, but you'll have a calculator. No need to worry about how I'm doing them so quickly. Now I need a minus 6. Minus 6. 12x is less than negative 48. Same sign we added them. Divide by 12. Divide by 12. So x is less than negative 4. To graph that, the important number is negative 4. It is open because there's no line underneath. X is less than. Okay, so I need to point that way. Interval notation, when does it start working? Well, down here in negative infinity. When does it stop working? Negative 4. Always open, so a parenthesis. And open circle, parenthesis. All right, now I'm going to look at both of these because they're each special cases that you could see potentially on a test. So DC SADMAP it. 2n plus 4. 4 plus 2n because I got to rewrite. Move your variables. Well, that cancels. And that cancels. So I have 4 is bigger than 4. Well, that's just not true. 4 is not bigger than 4. So since it is not true, we have a no solution. And if you remember, the graph looks like this. It's just a 0 with an open circle, no arrows. And the rotation, when does it start working? 0. When does it stop working? 0. Open means parenthesis. Open means parenthesis. And the last one we're going to look at, DC SADMAP, this bad guy. Negative 4 times p is negative 4p. Negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. So I've got negative 10 minus 4p is greater than or equal to 7. Minus 4p minus 24. So combine your like terms. Now I've got negative 10 minus 4p is greater than or equal to negative 4p minus 17. Move your variables, but they cancel. And now I have negative 10 is greater than or equal to negative 17. Is that true? Is negative 10 bigger than negative 17? Yes. So this is an infinitely many. And the graph for an infinitely many is just 0, closed circle with arrows pointing both ways. Where does it start working? Negative infinity. parenthesis, always. Where does it stop working? Positive infinity, parenthesis, always. All right, I hope this is helpful. I hope that you have done your review and that you are ready for our test. If you have any other questions, let me know. Let's talk.